Hey guys, I built this modern style Murphy bed and bookcase with white oak, plywood and hardwood. This is a part of my basement renovation project. I already built a concrete and slate wall with an electric fireplace. If you are interested in that part, a link can be found in the description. The Murphy bed is queen size. I used quarter-sawn white oak plywood as the front panel. The two black handles are made with maple hardwood. The bookcase has 5 shelves, and the top 2 shelves are removable, so the bookcase can be converted to a wardrobe when the Murphy bed is folded down. With the electric fireplace turned on, the basement then becomes a cozy bedroom. I also installed a smart LED strip onto the top panel of the Murphy bed. The LED strip can be controlled by Google Home or Alexa, as well as by the paired wire-free smart switch. I used the Murphy bed hardware kit from Precolor. The kit has a very detailed build menu and assembly menu. In general, I just follow the menus, but I also made a few changes in the design. In this video, I will mainly focus on those changes which are not covered by the menus. Before the build, I used Fusion 360 to make a 3D model to visualize my design. In this model, I can see the outlook of the bed and the bookcase, as well as what it looks like when the bookcase is converted to a wardrobe. When the bookcase on the right and the wall panel on the left are hidden, the left one is basically what is covered in the hardware kit menu. It contains a moving bed assembly and a fixed cabinet assembly. This was what it looked like before the build. I already installed a black receptacle for the LED strip at the top of the wall, and then I painted the whole wall to black color with Sherwin-Williams Emerald Latex paint. The color name is Trichome Black and the sheen is flat. In total, I applied 2 coats of paint. For this project, I bought 6 4x8 white oak plywood panels. The plywood price was insane. I spent about $200 for each panel. In total, it was over $1,500 just for wood material. Most of the cutting job of this project was done by my track saw. I cut the panels in 2 passes. The first pass is scoring the top surface, and the second pass is cutting through it. In this way, I can get a very clean cut on both the top and the bottom surfaces. I also made a parallel jigs for the track saw. The jigs were cut on my CNC. They are just a long plywood piece with a square stop block. The stop block can be tightened to the long piece at any position. After tightening the stop block on the first jig, I loosened the knob on the second jig and put the second jig firmly against the stop block of the first jig, and then tighten the stop block on the second jig. In such a way, the two jigs were set to the same length. I used a low-profile micro jig clamp to hold the parallel jigs to the plywood, and then put my track firmly against the parallel jigs. In such a way, the track saw can cut a line perfectly parallel to the other edge of the plywood. For this project, I bought my first fast tool product, the Domino machine. Although Domino is not a must based on the Murphy Bed hardware manual, the Domino can definitely make the build easier and improve the accuracy to the next level. The Domino machine is for sure not cheap, but compared with the insane lumber price, its price becomes relatively reasonable, as it can be used for years on tens of projects. I use Dominos in almost every joint in this build. Here I just show you two cases where Dominos can make the build more precise. The first one is that I use Dominos to align the two front panels, then with the Dominos to hold them together temporarily, I cut them to length with my track saw. In this way, the two front panels are perfectly flush with each other. The other case is that I use the Domino machine together with the parallel jigs and the track to make several mortises along a straight line. Then I use these mortises to make sure the two hardware handles stay straight when they were installed to the front panel, as the hardwood pieces usually are not perfectly straight by themselves. In this build, I use several MDF templates to achieve more precise cuts. I made these templates on my Shapeoko Pro CNC machine. While these MDF templates were not a must, they did make the final product look more professional. To use the template, I first rough cut the plywood, then attach the template with clamps or with blue tape and CA glue. Then use the router with the template bit to do the final cut. The 3 vertical face trims were made with white oak hardwood. These trims can only be installed after the Murphy bed and the bookcase was secured to the wall. Before that, I need to cut these trims flush to the plywood panels. The trims were cut from 4/4 white oak and resawn to about ½ inch thick. Then I used planer to clean the bandsaw mark and reduce the final thickness to 3/8 inch. I used the Dominos to attach the trim to the plywood panel, but the smallest cutting depth of the Domino machine is 12 mm, which is larger than 3/8 inch. So I made a small stop block to reduce the Domino cutting depth. I also set the stock thickness of the Domino machine to 22 mm when cutting the mortises on the trim, and set the stock thickness to 20 mm when cutting the corresponding mortises on the plywood panels. In such a way, when the trim was attached to the plywood panel, it will be 1 mm above the plywood surface. Then I can use the router to do the flush trim. After the Murphy bed and bookcase were installed, I finished the front and side faces of the trims with Rubio Monocoat, and then applied a small amount of glue to the back face. I used blue tape and 23 gauge pin nails to hold the trim before the glue dried. The handles and the leg of the Murphy bed were made with maple hardwood. The L shape of the handles were cut on the rotor table in multiple passes. After sanding the pieces to 120 grit, I used Rubio Monocoat Precolor Easy to stain them to black color. After the stain dried, I applied 2 coats of Rubio Monocoat Pure as the finish. The black color of the handles can echo to the black wall, as well as to the black electric fireplace and the black wood slate wall on the other side. This is the LED strip I used in this build. This LED strip can connect to Wi-Fi directly and can be controlled by Google Home or Alexa. I cut the strip to the width of the Murphy bed and attach it to the header of the bed with its own double-sided tape. I drilled a half hole on the top panel of the bed so the control wire of the LED strip can go through that hole to the top side of the panel. This is the design of the bookcase. The shelves were made with 3/4 inch white oak plywood together with 1.5 inch wide white oak hardwood at the front and back. The hardwood can make the shelves much stronger. I used Dominos and glue to attach the hardwood to the plywood. And then I used a track saw to cut the shelf to its final width. In this way, the hardwood and plywood are flush with each other perfectly. The holders for the two floating shelves were attached to the vertical panel with dominoes and screws, and the holder for the closed rail were cut on CNC and attached with dominoes and glues. I carefully applied a small amount of glue to minimize squeeze out, then used the mallet to persuade it into the mortises. All the panels were finished with 2 coats of Rubio Monocoat Super White. The white pigment in this finish can make the white oak look lighter and minimize the possibility of yellowing. To assemble the bookcase, I just used dominoes to hold the shelves into place and then used screws to lock in the positions. As the face trims had not been installed at this moment, I used a small block of face trim to make sure all the shelves were positioned flush with the trim. Okay, that's how I made this white oak Murphy bed and bookcase / wardrobe. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave a comment. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please thumb up and subscribe.